Welcome to the Green Wisdom Health Podcast with Dr. Stephen and Janet Lewis, where you will learn about natural solutions to common ailments. And now, here are your hosts, Dr. Stephen and Janet Lewis.
Hello and welcome to this week's show. I'm Janet Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Lewis.
And we are Green Wisdom Health, home of your low-cost lab work and information, here to let you know about some very exciting things about being toxic today. Today's show is called Toxic Burden, and if you can make toxins exciting, then I guess we're doing a great job. Dr. Lewis is going to thrill us with his knowledge of why we are so toxic, things that make us toxic that we might not be aware of. And then at the end of the show, we have some pretty interesting questions that have come up throughout the week that we thought you guys might enjoy hearing the answers to. So, Dr. Lewis, are you going to tell us today about what's happening with why we are so toxic?
Yeah, I'm going to give you an excuse to say that your spouse is toxic, and you can say, honey, you're full of it. But then you do have to clarify that and make sure you don't get the frying pan thrown at you. Yeah, we're full of toxins. You've heard me talk about that. And if you're not actively doing something to up your nutrient level, then you're just begging to get sick. I can talk. What do you want to talk about? I'll certainly jump in there.
Well, I know from my own experience, I can always tell when I'm more toxic. And, a lot of times that comes from eating incorrectly or being around some toxic fumes.
She's throwing that at me.
But some of the symptoms that you have when you are toxic is fatigue. You're excessively tired. You're more irritable. Your joints start hurting. You have more brain fog. You have digestive problems. And hot flashes can actually be a sign of being toxic. I always ask women when they say, I'm having hot flashes, I'll say, well, is that all day long or is it a certain time of day? Because if it's a certain time of day, that's probably more that you're toxic than a hot flash. Allergic reactions to things. Sneezing and coughing is actually a sign that you're very toxic. So, again, trains, if you are not going to the bathroom correctly, which is, if you're eating 3 meals a day and 3 meals are not appearing in your toilet, then there is something going on with your toxic burden level, which means you're hanging on to more of them than you're letting go. So maybe you could talk a little bit about why that's happening. Why are we not digesting, what's going on that we feel so irritable and tired?
And she is throwing that at me. She wanted me to calm down before we came in here because she said, are you going to be a preacher or teacher? Because I was on my soapbox just a few minutes ago. Who knows what I'm going to be? Y'all can decide. Y'all can judge that. I printed out for Janet an interesting article about environmental toxins being linked to autism. It's a really good article. But when we talk, we're going to get a few points from that particular article, but there's going to be information from lots of other places too. And it talks about autism. And autism, when you hear that, just say any other symptom or disease because it all applies. One of the statements that said mounting research indicates that brain disorders are a result of excessive exposure to toxins from multiple sources, including the mother while in utero. Well, my answer to that is, well, duh, mounting research. It's like, well, they've been doing that for decades and decades and proven it. Said mothers of autistic children have much, much lower vitamin D. And that's just an oversimplification, but vitamin D is one of the best things you can do to help your body detoxify. So if the mother has lower vitamin D, they cannot detoxify, and then these toxins are more prevalent in the baby itself. Once upon a time, I was asked by this group, it was an autism support group. They wanted me to come speak, and I used to speak at places a lot more than I do now. But I said, okay, no problem. I'm going to show you the research and show you what you can do to detoxify the body and therefore have people work at a higher function, at a higher level. And a few days later, this group called me and says, we don't want you to speak. I said, well, okay, why? And they said, because you're going to give people hope. I won't repeat what I question I asked. It was something on the line of, "Are you kidding me?" You don't want this group to have hope. You don't want this group to have healthier children. And I know there's a lot of controversy on whether to vaccinate or not vaccinate, because people say, well, vaccinations cause autism. I think that's an oversimplification, because you get a lot of toxins out of the vaccines. There's no doubt about it. But you get a lot of toxins from other sources. So I don't think it's fair to pick out one thing, but I think it's smart to figure out, oh, well, I need to decrease the toxins in all areas of my life. And today we're going to tell you how to do that.
Is not with getting a larger cup of coffee at your fabulous store down the street to get rid of those toxins and make you feel less tired. I saw today that they're actually going to do double the caffeine, and a very well-known coffee brand.
I'm all for that. I love caffeine. Caffeine's my favorite drug, although it doesn't do everybody good. I tease people about that, my favorite drug, and it's like, well, it really is. But I drink coffee for Janet's safety, not for mine.
It seems that might be a sign of being toxic, though, and then you add in more toxic chemicals.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we're going to, Janet just can't keep me from going down the rabbit trails, but there's a good thing that I think people should read. It says Diagnosis, Mercury, Money, Politics, and Poison. And I really think if you're concerned about toxins and you want to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that's something that is a contributing factor, just get that book. The author, I think it was a Jane Hightower, something like that. It's a really good book, but I don't think Mercury's the only thing. Then there was an article in Associated Press that said mercury-tainted fish are pervasive, study says. Well, I remember these cute little lakes we used to fish on that are full of cypress trees here in East Texas. And boy, you could catch fish like crazy, and very few people would go down these very, very small lakes. And it was absolutely gorgeous, but now you're not supposed to eat anything out of these lakes. And that's just because it's mercury tainted, just because the coal-fired power plants that we have here in East Texas, although they have better scrubbers that get most of the pollutants out before it gets into the air, but it wasn't true, a few decades ago. Another thing, toxins, mercury, of course, is an incredibly potent neurological toxin, and the exposure to the baby's brains, they're damaged even at real low doses in the womb itself. Mercury, they use it to produce a lot of the foodstuffs. And that's why I tell people, I said, if it's in a box or a sack or it's on the shelf and it'll last a long time, you probably shouldn't do it. And it's in thousands and thousands of different food products. And, if it says citric acid, sodium benzoate, and high fructose corn syrup, it's about I think it's 80 to 90% chance it's full of mercury, especially the high fructose corn syrup. So, why do we do that?
And, people always say, well, do you have something to detoxify heavy metals like Dr. Lewis is speaking about? We actually use one called HM Complex. It's a pure encapsulations product, and it's really great at pulling off the heavy metals that he's talking about. It does take a lot of time, a whole lot more time than what it took for you to put those in.
But, you can take it out every day, but then you put another load in every day too, just from your environment. There's these, I'll get into this later in a lot more detail, but there's some groups that are very good at studying cancer that says you've got about an 80% bad influence from your diet and environmental toxins that influence your cells to create cancer. So you do have a lot more choice. There's this person, I recommend her books a whole lot, but and she talks about a detox cocktail, and it's really a good one, but why not just take it in the HM Complex? It's a lot easier because it has things in it like zinc, selenium, potassium, but it has something in it called modified citrus pectin. If you'll look up or Google modified citrus pectin, you'll find research that talks about it being very anti-cancer because it has a incredible ability to bind to some of these toxins. And then chlorella, it needs to be the cracked cell. And, it's got the broccoli, which, that's our DIM, and we have several different forms of that. But something that's real important is called NAC, or N-acetylcysteine, which is the free-form amino acid that helps your body, your liver in particular, make glutathione. And glutathione, not only, it's known for its energy-producing ability, but it also acts kind of like a claw, and it'll take these toxins and kind of bind to it and flush it out and create a lot of energy in the meantime. Then there's methionine, and then there's alpha lipoic acid, which is in this detox cocktail that some people recommend. Alpha lipoic acid is probably the best, if not one of the best, antioxidants available. Then there's astaxanthin. We use a lot of resveratrol also, but Janet and I don't take alpha lipoic acid. We take R lipoic acid, and they're both good, but R is the reduced form, and it works better. And I told Janet, I said, well, it's a little more expensive, and she says, we need your brain. Here, take it. And I just say, yes, ma'am. So these toxins are real. But the high fructose corn syrup, and I'm guilty of consuming it from time to time, but that's one of the worst things that you can possibly put in your system. But that being said, don't go to diet drinks, because the aspartame in the diet drinks are worse than high fructose corn syrup and how it poisons your brain. And it's one of the most pervasive toxins in our environment. It's really not good for you.
Well, maybe we should talk a little bit about where some of these toxins come from. I know you mentioned heavy metals and, obviously.
Toxic spouse.
Yeah, actually.
That could be taken a lot of different ways, so you do have a way out of that.
Yeah, actually, that is a problem, the emotional part of it as well. Pollution, which we all know of, which we saw a lot of that in China.
Oh, my God. 5-star hotel, you could cut the smog in the halls with a knife.
You could see it rolling at you.
It is scary.
Yeah. Auto exhaust, you never think about that, that you're getting those fumes. If you can smell it, it's in your system.
Well, let me talk about that for just a second. Back a million years ago, people say, but I'm taking calcium. It's like, well, great. They're getting it from cow bones that's been eating off the side of the road where the lead and the gasoline fumes goes and settles in the grass. So a lot of the calcium supplements, and I think that's true still, are full of lead just because of the toxic fumes coming from the highway down into the grass. And you have to use companies that have more integrity than some that make sure that's cleaned up.
And I think it's a very, very interesting to note. We talk about the auto fumes. We recently purchased a motorhome, and
Janet did.
And the reason I was drawn to it, out of many different reasons, but a big reason I was drawn to it was because when we walked in, there was no smell of formaldehyde in it. And if any of you own an RV, you know what I'm talking about. It's like,
or a trailer house even.
Yeah, my dad has one. He's had 2 years, and it still smells like formaldehyde. And I asked the dealer there, I said, why does it not have that smell? He said, oh, this is out of Canada. He said, they don't allow that there.
They don't poison their people.
Yeah, they're only poisoning all of us in the United States. And I thought, well, that's a very interesting concept.
And there was about a 10-month wait for this particular RV, and we just showed up on a Saturday and said, okay, it was there. We'll come pick it up on Thursday. And it's like God laid it out. So, but we're just thrilled that your eyes don't water and you start coughing and hacking and snorting and snotting and blowing your nose because the formaldehyde is not there.
Yeah, so all of that has to be detoxified. Pesticides, herbicides, insecticides that not only kills our poor little bees, but it also kills us as well.
She hurts me when she talks about my dead bees.
Radiation is actually a toxin.
Yeah, and electromagnetic fields, but nobody's going to give up their cell phones. So,
dietary choices like fast foods and fried foods contain a lot of lifestyle toxins.
Yeah. But it tastes so good. It's like, well, Usually it's your taste buds that get us in trouble in the first place. So even lead, you always talk about lead and gasoline and in calcium supplements. It's in paint. It's in chocolate. Well, that hurts. Toys, batteries, pipes, pottery from Mexico. Some of this stuff comes from China. It's full of junk. And we've been to China. It's like,
I know. Remember, they tried to sell us a knockoff terracotta warrior, and it accidentally broke, and these worms came out of it, and it was like, there you go.
They tried to sell me. They said, Rolex, I give you 10 in a stainless steel case. Yeah, it's like, well, first of all, it's a Folex. He said, what do you mean? I said, it's a fake Rolex. There's 10 of them in an aluminum case, and they wanted $100 for 10 Rolex watches. So you think counterfeit doesn't take place, but the number one place to counterfeit is supplements because everybody's getting on the bandwagon and taking them. So be careful. Actually,
you get toxins from cosmetics. And you see more and more about, let's do the natural. Let's not do all of the chemical stuff that's in the cosmetics. Unfortunately, alcohol is in here as well as a toxic burden.
Uh-oh.
As well as caffeine that we already discussed.
Hey, be nice.
And then people don't think about their prescription and over-the-counter drugs being a toxic burden.
Or actually a lot of supplements. And it's like, why in the heck would in a drug or a supplement would they put different things in there that are known cancer causers that they say, well, it's a dying agent. Why do you care what color your vitamin or your drugs are? And why would they put something in that's known to cause cancer? Think about that one for a minute.
They just did that with a blood pressure medication. You probably noticed that they pulled that.
Well, all drugs, steal nutrients that you don't have enough of anyway. That book's been written. It's called Drug Muggers. It's a really good book. I think if you're concerned about your medications that you're taking, that you may have to take, at least know what it steals, whether it steals your vitamin D, your B vitamins, your CoQ10, or magnesium, whatever, and at least know what it steals and then supplement like crazy with a good supplement if you have to take these medications.
Some of the internal toxins are bacterial and yeast fungal overgrowth that Dr. Lewis talked about. And yeast is actually a parasite. So guess what? As they're eating what you're having, they are pooping.
Yeah.
So that is your die-off from the carbon dioxide and ammonia reactions of the byproducts that they're producing. So if you're not going to the bathroom good, they are. So,
and if your gas that you pass is especially smelly, you probably have issues. Probably.
Undigested food.
You have issues.
Unresolved trauma or abuse is actually toxic.
Yeah, and I see a lot of that, and it's kind of sad that we're not nice to each other all the time, but once I would get to know some of these patients back when I practiced chiropractic, and there's a lot of molestation that would go on and child abuse. And then I talked to this female dentist that's just sweet and wonderful. And she says, after you get to know most of her employees, the large majority of them have been abused in one way or another. And it's like, good God, we're supposed to protect our children. So those toxic emotions can, wreak havoc with your mental health and physical health, because not all physical symptoms have a physical origin. So let's be nice to people and help them heal.
And there's a great book if you need help getting through that. It's by Joyce Meyer called Battlefield of the Mind.
Yeah.
Really excellent to help you deal with some of the a trauma or abuse and unhappy relationships. So you're now probably wondering, how toxic am I? Have you ever had a course of antibiotics or taken prescription medications?
You may be full of it.
Mm-hmm. Do you live near a major urban area or near a busy highway?
You are full of it.
Do you eat out frequently or eat pre-packaged foods?
Whoops.
Shop around the edges. Do you experience discomfort after eating certain foods?
I experience discomfort if I don't eat certain foods.
Gas, bloating, belching is what I was referring to.
I apologize.
Are you overweight or underweight?
Doing pretty good.
Do you use standard household cleaning products in your home?
I choose not to clean.
With that being said, we had a lady that cleaned for us for many years, and I haven't seen her in about a year and a half now, and she came in the other day with severe migraine. And I looked under her eyes and under, where people say you have bags, she had little black moles on both sides, or about 5 or 6 on each side. And I asked her, "Are you still using Fabulosa to clean?" And she said, "Oh, yes, and Clorox." And
organochlorines is one of the nastiest things you can be exposed to. So I don't care whether you smell it or not, you're getting it. So stay away from it. It's a killer, which I'll get into that in a minute, I think.
We did her lab, and she was extremely toxic. And it wound up being a liver issue. And we started cleaning her up, and she's feeling better. So, all of those chemicals that you're using, like I said, if you're smelling them or walking barefoot across the floor, if you've cleaned with them, you are absorbing them.
Well, okay, liver issue, that's a good time for me to be diverted off into another rabbit trail. One of the things on Good Morning America, and I did have a patient ask me about that, it said, I think it was yesterday, liver cancer death rates surge over the last decade, but obesity was a factor. Well, if you're obese, then you're not detoxifying anyway, and it's the fat cells that hold most of the toxins. Liver has to detoxify. We have a massive amount of people that come in with incredibly high liver enzymes. And if it's not happy, you're not going to detoxify. And again, you've got to do it every day because you're still getting a load of toxins in every day. So,
and if you're asking, well, how do I check my liver enzymes? That's what we do. We run low-cost lab across the United States. We tell you to run the comprehensive panel because it gives us 12 different panels. So if it's not just your liver, if you've got yeast or fungus going on and you're not digesting, we can see that based on those 12 labs. It's called our comprehensive panel.
And I always try to encourage people, go ahead at least the first time to belly up to the bar and pay the extra little bitty bill to add your hormones, because I just talked to a 20-year-old gorgeous little girl that is not overweight, but she's got massive hormonal imbalance already at age 20, and her liver enzymes looks like, oh my God, looks like she's an alcoholic for 40 years and she doesn't touch alcohol.
And that's a good point, because, that same little girl came in here and thought she was anemic. She kept telling me, I just think I need some iron. I'm just so tired all the time. And I said, well, you really don't want to take iron unless you've had it tested on lab. And she said, well, they've tested it on lab and they said I'm fine. I said, did they run your stored iron, which is ferritin? And she goes, no, I don't think so. And so we ran her stored iron. Well, she was right. She was not anemic on the regular panel that they run at the doctor's office, but on the stored iron, it was high. And at 20 years old, it's already doing damage to her liver. And I said, well, do you have any heart issues in your family? She goes, oh, yeah. My mom's whole side of the family has had some sort of a heart problem.
So's her dad's side, too.
So, again, you don't want to guess at what you think is wrong and just start taking things, because if she'd have taken extra iron on top of a already burdened liver and too thick of blood, iron is for building blood.
Don't diagnose yourself.
Right. She could kill herself just with doing that. She could create having a heart attack. So, and then if you're wondering, well, you're telling me all this doom and gloom. How can we fix some of this? We've actually made it very simple. There is a convenient pre-packaged plan called Core Restore. And
it's been a big hit. It has. People say, oh my God, I feel light and lively within the first 7 days. And lighter.
It includes a vegetable antioxidant blend to support phase 2 liver detoxification, because believe it or not, you actually need to do phase 2 before you do phase 1. And you're going, well, what is phase 2 and phase 1? That's something Dr. Lewis would know. But in general, you just need, it's cleaning it kind of backwards, because synergistically, I think those targeted nutrients enhance the detoxification and hormone disruptors and other harmful toxins by putting them back through phase 2 before it does phase 1. It also includes 6 to 7 grams of fiber, so that you have a more full feeling, and it also helps bind toxins so that they can be eliminated. Fiber is a great thing for that. It's a rice protein in it for sustained nutritional energy, so you can actually use it as a meal replacement for one meal. It has a comprehensive multivitamin, which is alpha base, which we absolutely love. We sell that by itself as well, but it is in this kit. It also comes with a patient handbook on step-by-step instructions on reducing toxic burdens.
Just the book is worth the price. It's awesome.
And it comes with some delicious and nutritious recipes, as well as a convenient shopping guide to help keep you from shopping in the middle of the store. And then it has this really cute little blender, little hand mixer thing that we've just gone nuts over. We got one everywhere now. It's a little battery operated.
It's not a far road for Janet to go nuts. No. I think I keep her on the edge.
We get excited about very small things in life. That's one of them. But that helps you with your shakes and smoothies so they're nice and smooth. But it's called Core Restore, and we've got French vanilla for the flavor.
Yeah. Well, some of those toxins, though, we talked about lead and arsenic, and, that's pretty big contaminant with fluoride, which fluoride has been known to lower your child's IQ by 7 points. Fluoride's a deadly poison. But arsenic, and what you don't know is they usually spray it on the chickens for mites in these huge chicken houses with tens of thousands of chickens there where they're raised in a stressful environment, and it's in their feed, keeps them eating so they get fat quick.
We talk about chickens having mites. We actually had a lady that, we were talking about parasites and how they harbor, and you're thinking, yeah, nobody has that.
Yeah, my MD says parasites don't exist. It's like, yeah, they do.
She came into our office the other day and said, I want y'all to know that I went to the bathroom, wasn't even going to have a bowel evacuation. She just sat down to use the bathroom after sleeping all night and passed a tapeworm. It came out on its own. Freaked her out. She said it was, I don't know how many inches long. It was pretty long.
She held her hands out like it's about 1.5 feet long.
Yeah, and so it freaked her out. So she went to the doctor to get a prescription to kill anything else that might be in there. And you guys always talk about, hey, this stuff's so expensive to stay healthy. Well, it isn't anything compared to getting 4 pills to kill parasites. She said this doctor first looked like he didn't really know what to do with her, but he gave her a prescription. And she said after a coupon for it and her insurance, 4 pills to kill parasites was $950. And now we're going to run lab work on her and see what the medicine did to her.
Yeah, and clean up her liver now.
Yeah.
But these toxins are real, and, parasites usually it's just yeast. But, you got the PBDEs, polybrominated diphenyl esters. And it's, that's in your upholstery, your mattresses, your clothing. You get it out of your pillow every night, and then you've got all kinds of stuff that's in your dry cleaning. I don't have my dry cleaners do anything but wash and press. They don't use those. Then, one thing I want to talk about is you've got too much manganese, and it's the wrong kind. It's in your water, and it's in your soy infant formulas, which I probably not going to get to. But then there's ethanol. Hey, every time you gas up your car, you're getting whiffs of ethanol. And in my opinion, I'm full of opinions, but I think ethanol is one of the stupidest things we've ever done. Really hurts the engine, especially small engines. You got toluene, which is in your fingernail polish and leather tanning and paint thinners, and the mercury I talked about that's in the high fructose corn syrup. So if you're not supplementing with extra nutrients, your food does not have enough of these nutrients to make your body detoxify. Okay, I'm going to get to the soy-based formula for infants, and it can cause massive amount of harm, which creates food allergies. How many little babies do you know they're already putting them on Prilosec? And it's because mama's not breastfeeding, and they develop food allergies, which alters their gut, the microbiome, the probiotics there, which causes behavioral problems and anger. Think about the school shootings. What did we do to their guts years before and feeding them wheat that's full of glyphosate? The soy formula can create asthma. It creates thyroid disorders and early puberty and fertility problems and cancer. How many kids are hitting puberty early? They're hitting it years before they did when I was a kid. One of my long-term patients, got on Facebook and asked me, is there a supplement that can cure cervical cancer? The quick answer is no. You need to see your oncologist for that.
But actually, some of these parasitic things that we're talking about, going left untreated, they burrow their way out and create a lot of the cancers because it kills the organ.
Well, and, there's a book called Cancer is a Fungus, and I think everybody that has it should read that. There's a lot of good cancer books. I think what we do in diseases like that, I think it's very complimentary, and I've seen people get some incredible results, but it's not an alternative to good medical treatment. You need both. So I hope you've learned a little bit here, and I hope I've been nice enough because Janet wanted me to get off my soapbox. But folks, the time to heal yourself is before you get sick. Start investing in your health. It doesn't cost money. It pays dividends in things you don't have to spend later on disease.
And that's a wrap for this week's show. You guys, don't be toxic. And we'll be here next week with another exciting show. Have a blessed week.
Once again, our show has come to an end, but your hope in your health is only beginning. If you or a loved one are in need of a different outcome and are waiting for a brighter future, take the first step and go to our website and fill out the health survey. Please don't keep us a secret. If you know someone that could benefit from this podcast, please share this show with your friends and family. You're only one step away from a life worth living.